Hey folks, it's Maxwell here and welcome to a brand new TW9 video. We are on the road to Revolution with AEW and hopefully a stat card and a very good pay-per-view. We're back at the Kaseya Centre in the southeast, so without further ado, let's crack on first with AEW Dynamite. We start the show with the American Dragon Bryan Danielson on commentary as he wishes to give his thoughts and viewpoints on one of his challengers at AEW Revolution, the protostar Kyle Fletcher. Fletcher will battle Rey Fenix in the opener, and Bryan is very complimentary of his abilities, he just questions his morals. This segment got a 79, and the storyline advances. That opener had superb wrestling and good heat, and Kyle Fletcher defeats Rey Fenix in 14:25 with a Grimstone. This matchup was designed to be our Steal the Show matchup. Two fantastic performances with an 85 and a 93, seeing a wrestling rating of 89. The segment, however, just gets a 78, and obviously must have had a pretty severe psychology penalty, but I'm hoping over time Kyle Fletcher gets that skill. You can see there that inconsistency and the physical condition of Rey Fenix as well. So Fletcher picks up the win, and he then seems to act rather smugly. He then starts to entice Bryan to get in the ring, in which he does, and he gets right in Kyle's face. Kyle can be seen saying, "Hit me then, take your cheap shot, champ, try and weaken me before Revolution, because that's right, you can't beat me." So a bit of tension between the two of them. Storyline advances, Kyle Fletcher is getting better at his gimmick, and we have our top segment of the night with an 88. I don't think we'll top that, so that's a good sign. Next up, per matchup, Gabe Kidd defeats Action Andretti in 5:45 with a sick kick. 51 wrestling, 55 segment. Sadly, these two didn't click, but of course, when you're going that low in terms of minutes in the match, you're really looking for your winner to look strong, which of course is Gabe Kidd. Now listen up here, Darby Allin, you punk. What I'm going to do to this loser right now is just a mere taster to the savage beatdown, the annihilation that I'm going to give you. I'm going to hurt you, I'm going to take your title, and I'm going to send you to the hospital. So he's already picked up the win over Action Andretti, and he just kind of hits him again before he disappears up the ramp. So a 60 segment there. Their storyline continues. I'm looking forward to this one. I think it could be good. Next up was a wild brawl that had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, as the Backbones, Ricky Starks, gets the win over Mark Davis in 9:45 with a bit of dodgy cheating there with a fallen object. 76 for the wrestling, 80 segment overall. I'd say the wild brawl certainly suits Mark Davis' style, but I felt like the Backbone had been gaining a lot of momentum, but obviously mostly MGF, so it was time to give the likes of Ricky Starks a good win here. We then hear from Jonah Daddio and Megan Bain, and Jonah says, "I came here to AEW so everyone could watch me. Watch this company continue to grow, and for women's wrestling to thrive and blossom into something great. Revolution sees the start of the Tag Team Championships, and what better two people to hold the gold than me and Megan Bain. Think how talented I am, think how smart I am, and think how dominating Megan Bain is. It doesn't matter if it's Becky or whoever else makes this title match, the gold is coming with me." And then she does her wee evil laugh. So a 68 segment there. Gianna Daddio benefits from having the hot catchphrase, and one of the teams we will see in that matchup will be these two of Jonah Daddio and Megan Bain. Next up, we had a poor matchup that saw Chris Sabin and the Time Splitters defeat Jay Lethal and the Kingdom in 12:02 when Chris Sabin defeated Matt Taven with the Cradle Shock. I made this to tell the story matchup. Reason being really is because obviously we're kind of teasing is Alex Shelley with Chris Sabin. Has he given up on Kushida? Well, time will tell. But that one, but a 58 for this one. Overall's okay. It is what it is. Although it does seem sketchy at times, both Sabin and Shelley do seem on the board with Kushida here as they get the win. And yeah, even with a bit of reluctancy, they have all shaked hands after this victory. I know there was a bit of a tease last week that Shelley was done with him, possibly as in tag team action, but in trios, maybe Kushida's got a chance to prove himself. 52. Another good wrestling match here and decent reaction from our crowd as Hook defeated Ua in 14:27 with the Red Rum submission victory. So a 73 for the wrestling here, a 65 for the matchup. Both guys with pretty decent performances, 72 and 73. The reason the segment flops a little bit is because Ua wanted to remain strong. So Hook had to protect Ua in this one. But Hook he's made one of the half of the AEW World Tag Team Champions Ua go to sleep, and now Paul Heyman is calling him all sorts of things. Ricochet then comes out of nowhere with a title belt to the back, and it's a belter of a cheap shot. He continues the beatdown, Ua gets to his feet, but then running out with a lead pipe, it is Samoa Joe to make the save. He chases the tag team champions off, and then he tends to Hook. So I feel like there's somewhere I can go with this one. An 80 segment here. It's looking like that could be a tag match at Revolution. As we get ready for main event time on Dynamite, our main event sees both Kyle Fletcher and Bryan Danielson on commentary. They're both giving analysis, but also bickering well with each other while Ospreay does battle in the main event with the Bastard Pack. Who will win? The Mind Games. So a 79 for this one, and the storyline advances. We finish the show with, I think it was a banger. I think the injury's done us there, but superb wrestling, good heat, and Will Ospreay defeats Pac in 22:07 with the Stormbreaker. So Ospreay's taking momentum, Fletcher's taking momentum, Bryan's trying to just get in about it, and an 82 match up there. I think we could maybe look at an 85 if Pac doesn't get the strained rest. That should be something he'll be able to work through. But yeah, overall, a 78. Not many dramatic stakes. To be fair, you say that. Yeah, true, not many matches, because obviously I hadn't done the tag team storyline just yet. But yeah, I think we're building up the stuff that's happening on Dynamite. There's at least 4 or 5 matches that'll come from that. So yeah, I'm overall pretty much... It's not an amazing show, but I think it does the job. Probably carried by that segment between Bryan and Kyle. We haven't been told what the injury situation is until after Rampage, so yeah, we'll probably find out at one point. But now, let's jump to Collision. Colliders assemble at the KeyBank Centre, and we are straight in to action. That is our show-stealing match of the evening. And as that bout, they had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, as Walter defeats Wheeler Yuta in 13:49 with a knife-edge chop. Wrestling was a 78 here, the crowd a 67, the match itself was a 74 segment. Walter brought a fantastic 94, Wheeler Yuta with a 63, so we've got a long way to go with Yuta, but it builds up Walter's momentum as he begins to take down some of the backbone. We then have some words from MJF at the top of the ramp, and he says, Walter, you got lucky tonight, but you have got many a man to go through before you can even get close to me, you Mark. So pay attention later tonight, because after he's done with Shibata, the next week on Collision, the big man, the War Dog, Wardlow, will seek to end you. This all does end with a happy ending, and it's you the hell out of my life and me going on to become AEW World Champion again. So, good words there from MJF, storyline advances, 80 segment. Next up, we had the in-ring debut of Roxy and Bayley as a tandem, as they took on Starlight Kid and Mina Shirakawa. And it was a decent matchup here that saw the Monet Corporation pick up the win in 9:22 when Bayley pinned Mina with the Hugplex. This was our storytelling matchup of the evening. It delivered a 65 rating. But yeah, in terms of in-ring stuff, okay, everybody pretty similar. Maybe Roxy the lowest there, but in terms of her, she's the youngest. She's going to gain popularity and she's going to gain a lot of skills down the line. So decent stuff there. And we move along. We then have some words from the leader of the Monet Corporation. It is Mercedes Monet. And she does, instead of going whatever site it is, she just goes AEW. Look at this yet again. The Monet Corporation stands tall. With Bayley and Roxy winning tonight, why don't they just become AEW Tag Team Champions? It would be fitting that they become the maiden ones. Then after Nixon, Sky, Kota, hell, even me, we could all go back after the TBS Championship and we will have all the gold. And she does an evil laugh. This division is run by me. And no one, and I mean no one, is worthy to step up and face me at Revolution. So 69 arrogant promo from Mercedes. I honestly at this point don't know who's going to challenge her, but we'll find out who's going to face her at Revolution. Next up, decent matchup. AJ Styles defeats Juice Robinson in 9:55 with the phenomenal forearm. Not too bad by two former members of the Bullet Club. 69 overall, AJ with a 74, Juice with a 59. This leads to some words from AJ Styles. And he says, "Last week I took great pride in watching my protege Nick Wayne go toe-to-toe with Okada. It was a performance that is well beyond his years, and it shows that one day he'll be at the pinnacle of this business. But that match, it lit a fire under me. I remember those battles with Okada in Japan, and you know what? I want one more go. So I'm laying down the challenge, Kazuchika Okada, AEW International Championship at AEW Revolution." So a 70 segment there. While Okada accept the challenge, we have the storyline advancing but losing heat. But yeah, that could be a good one down the line. Next up, we had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd as Johnny Gargano defeats Roderick Strong in 15:21 with Hurt's Donut. These two guys had pretty similar performances with 73 and 72, and the segment as a whole was a 76. These guys had good chemistry, pretty good chemistry, and that lifted the match up. But to be expected, both of them are really, really good. Roddy's obviously phenomenal, and the storyline advances and gains heat. This is because we get some words from Johnny Gargano, and it says, "It feels good to finally get into my groove here in AEW and show that I can definitely still hang with the best that AEW has to offer. Now, after the last few weeks, I've saw a win over Kyle O'Reilly and tonight against Roderick Strong. There's an old friend that I'd love to catch up with, so don't be afraid now, Adam. Grow some balls and meet me in the ring next week." So 67 segment for that one. Their storyline advances, and it lost a little bit of heat. We then had that wild brawl match between Wardlow and Shibata, with Wardlow picking up the win in 10:27 with a powerbomb symphony. Some decent stuff here. As I say, Wardlow's going to be a work in progress till we get him fully over, but 65 is the end result. Wardlow picks up the big dominant win over Shibata, and as his music plays, standing up at the top of the ramp, hell, even applauding him, is his opponent next week, Big Walter. So a 76 there. Worryingly, we've not had too many in terms of segments going high score, so we're improving storylines, but the results of the segments are not looking good for even popularity maintaining, so we probably may lose some here. I also have to laugh though that Walter is the one that goes off script, and he's the one that struggles, yet Wardlow improvises very well. And the main event, which hopefully was to save it, was one I was looking forward to trying out. Had some great wrestling and good heat, with Swerve Strickland defeating Claudio Castagnoli in 21:45 with a Swerve Stomp. So the battle of two former AEW World Champions in game. An 85 from Swerve, a 77 from Claudio. Swerve's got a little bit stale, but the wrestling was an 81. The crowd is 73. The segment was an 85. And we finish the show with a great win by Swerve Strickland. He celebrates with the crowd and begins to head to the back. He's at the top of the stage, he bows down, and he turns round, and he is clobbered in the head by Kinosuke Takeshita with a goddamn screwdriver. God damn it, Don Callis, who's clearly provided this weapon. And we fade to black with them standing tall above Swerve, and Swerve a bloody mess. So we're going to continue on this programme between Takeshita and Swerve Strickland, and that's just a nice way to get some heat onto Takeshita. So an 84 here, and thankfully in this save he's under contract, not in offline save, where I've lost them to WWE, which wasn't fun. So the show didn't result in many popularity changes. We should have seen more storylines followed with dramatic stakes. That's probably fair enough. It was more angle related stuff than actual matches, so understand that. I think really only Gargano and Roderick was kind of two people in the same storyline that were in a match. But yeah, overall, not too bad. I'd say apart from the main event stuff, would you really say anything stood out with a great rating? Probably not, but I feel we at least are building stuff on the road to Revolution. So we'll jump in, we'll book the B shows, we'll look over them, and we'll see what happens in the rest of the week in AEW and TW9. So time for our usual roundup. We'll see what's happened in the world of wrestling, check our news items, see what this potential contract is, and of course look over our B shows. So CMLL had a show, that's fine. Anything else here that directly affects us? Not that I can see actually. Sadie Gibbs has left Ring of Honor, that's right, we've let her contract run out. She wasn't really developing at a decent rate. Travis Williams and Jim Perry are getting on well. Richard Holiday and Joey Janela have a little bit of tension. Chelsea Green is knocking back the trolls. So she was said there. Chelsea Green has won widespread admiration for the way she has been dealing with creepy trolls recently, with her posts by turns funny, withering and cutting, sending the sad men behind their anonymous social media accounts running. Many people have posted their support for her. Fair enough, that is probably half a twat at this point. Alison Kay wins the Defy Women's Championship, and Terry David obviously a new gen in this save. So Gazelle Shaw is gone. Her contract's expired, as is Rio Mizunami, so she's had a match up on Shockwave before she left the company. We're in talks for Isla Dawn. I don't want to go any higher than that, but I feel like that should get her and bring her in. One called Mander, and Sawyer Wrecker being married. Rio changes to a regular wrestler. Zack Knight will let it expire as well, so we don't annoy Saraya. Collision got 1.50 TV rating. Shockwave got 3.1 million viewers. And Billy Gunn says that Kevin Knight is turning into a good worker. So good stuff there. As far as this is, Stephon Smith extending his contract. And we're also going to extend the contracts of our referee, Sean Bennett, who we've already got in from WWE after they released him, and Alex Reynolds. So, a small thing to cover, and that is just the B shows, what has went on in Rampage and Shockwave. So, Rampage, first off, saw some words from Becky, Quinn, and Valkyria. She then defeated Saru Hanoi in a 67. We had Keith Lee defeat The Butcher in a 60, before Dalton Castle strutted to the ring in a 52. He then defeated John Silver in a 44, and our main event saw Eddie Kingston defeat Evil Uno in a 67, before we had some words from the Mad King. I find it interesting that not only Eddie Kingston getting an 86 here, but there's also an angle on Shockwave that's far higher than what we're getting on our main show. Because if we jump to Shockwave, we have Kevin Knight defeating Isaiah Cassidy in a 63, the Money Corporation's King Kota and Nixon Newell defeating Yuka Sakazaki, and the now departed Rio Mizunami was a 66. Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Sammy Guevara in a 78, with a 67 promo afterwards. Wheeler Yuta defeated Dustin Rhodes in a 63. Now the mental thing about this one, if I just click on it, Yuta gets 71. When he took on Walter in a Steal the Show matchup, his performance was nowhere close to that. So maybe it's a pressure thing, or maybe it just didn't work, but as I say, there was nothing about negative chemistry. Wheeler Yuta then had an angle, it was a 62. Big Bad Brody King defeats Anthony Bowens in a 71. We then have some more tension between the House of Black as Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, Julia Hart and Brody King have a 62 segment. And the main event for Shockwave saw freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy defeat the Beast Mortos in a 75 matchup. We then had a little thumbs up from Orange Cassidy, which delivered a fantastic 88 segment. But yeah, apart from that, that is the week that was in AEW. We are 2 weeks away from Revolution, so I have 2 weeks to get that card properly sorted. And as always, thank you very much for watching. A wee thumbs up would be deeply appreciated. And remember to check out the Fantasy Booker subreddit, Goody Dog Software forums, twdb.com and bethebooker.net. And until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye bye.